Do you want to be the best farmer you can be? Well, you definitely need these 3 tools in your toolbox. Are you tired of waiting on lab results for soil and plant analysis? Do you want a quick way to give you an idea of how well your crops are doing and whether or not foliar nutrient or fertilizer applications are actually working for you? Well, there is a way to determine that, and you need these 3 tools to kind of give you an idea of what your soil health is, your plant health is, and give you an idea of, do you need to add more? Or am I doing a good job? First one is this guy right here. It is a soil penetrometer. What it is a dial with a pointy stick. And depending on what kind of soil you have, whether you have sandy or more clay loamy soil, you put a different size tip on it. And what you do is you take it and you put it on the ground and you slowly press it into the ground. And it has a dial and it'll tell you when the soil gets really hard. Once the soil gets to a certain level of PSI, over 200, that means the soil is tight. Biologically, it's not going to be active. Soil nutrients aren't going to be able to flow any well. So you can tell if your soil is really tight in that first 6 inches, the nutrients in the soil really don't matter. All those nutrients on the soil test that you have aren't going to move to the plant, so you're going to have to foliar apply most of your nutrients. Whereas in this case, I have a very good profile down to about 9 to 12 inches. And then once I get to there, I get too much pressure. So I have about 9 inches right here of good soil. So I'm able to get those nutrients that are in those top 6 inches available. Okay, well now I know a little bit about how my soil is doing as far as compaction wise. Also, a penetrometer can help you with what kind of tillage I should do. But how do I know if the bugs are actually doing anything? And that's where the next tool comes into play. How can we detect biological activity in the soil without any really super fancy equipment? Well, we can use this. This is an electrical conductivity meter that measures in millisiemens. Don't ask me what that means, but basically, we're checking the heartbeat of the soil. We are checking the biological electrical activity, because just like you and me have different electrical charges in our body, so does biology. And basically, I stab this down in the ground and murder biology to determine if the soil's healthy or not. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slowly slide this meter down into the soil, and we're gonna look here. And what we wanna see is between 0.3 and 0.5 millisiemens for vegetative growth as we slide down through the profile. So this is actually looking pretty good. Now, when it comes to reproductive growth, you know, when the corn's putting on the seed or any kind of reproductive growth, we want to see that number come up a little bit, 0.6 to 0.9. If we're getting over 0.9, usually we have too much salt in our soil. And if we're getting too low, usually our biology is not active for one of a number of different reasons. But honestly, unless I'm there and we can figure it out together, I can't tell you. It could be the ground's compacted, which you can test from the penetrometer. It could be a lack of carbon. It could be a whole number of things, but you know the biology is not really doing a whole lot. So you're really gonna have to spoon feed those crops with applied nutrients to get the results that you want. Is there a way to do an in-field sap analysis on your plants and get results immediately so I know whether the plant is healthy? Well, there absolutely is. And what we're trying to do is measure the Brix level of the plant, or the sugar inside of a plant. And that's what a plant lives by. A plant puts sugar into the ground to give to the bugs to bring in the other nutrients, and then they take that sugar up. And then when you look at a plant, 94% of it is made up of the elements of sugar. So the sugar content is super important. And we also know that once the sugar content gets high enough, that plants are not susceptible to disease and to pest, and that's that 14 Brix level. But how do we measure it? Well, we measure it with a Brix Refractometer, which is basically a prism and a light and a little dial on the inside. I don't know if you guys can see in there and get anything, but there is a dial and a line once we put a little bit of plant juice. So what I'm gonna do is take a middle leaf off of a corn plant. I'm going to scrunch it up, and I'm going to put it in my wife's garlic press. Yes, it is okay to steal the garlic press out of the kitchen that your wife never uses. It's all right. She's not gonna miss it because she's not even gonna know it's gone. So I squeeze that garlic press down, and what I do is I have a prism here. I'm gonna squeeze it until I get some plant juice. I'm gonna put a drop right on the middle of that prism, just like that. I'm gonna close it, and then I'm gonna look into it and look up at the sun, and I'm gonna see where the blue line in here lines up. And I'm getting 7 Brix, which is awfully low. So I'm definitely going to have to do something to get my Brix levels up. But I am applying some nutrients constantly, and so what I would like to see is once I turn the water on, does that Brix level jump up right after an application? But that is an infield sap test for you to get an idea of how the plant is doing, and we know we've got to add some more stuff out here because these plants need some help to get to where we want to get them to. So if you are a farmer, you need to have these 3 tools in your toolbox. You need to have a penetrometer to determine compaction and see if nutrients are going to be able to flow in your soil profile. You got to be able to check the heartbeat of the soil, so you need an electrical conductivity meter. And if you want to do infield rapid results soil or sap testing of your plants, you need a Brix Refractometer and your wife's garlic press. Do not forget it, because that's the best way to get the juice out of the plant. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. God bless. If you like these videos and you like this content, follow along. A whole lot more coming. We'll see you next time on American Beef Ranch.